Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, the 28th of April 2022, and you are watching Sarah on Sew Me Sarah. This is my channel, all about cross stitch and sometimes some other needlework, which today is just going to get a mention. I'm not going to be able to show you any, but you're very welcome. And I want to say a big thank you to those of you who choose to return and watch all of my episodes. That's really a lovely sense of community, which you know I love and which you know is why I came on to this channel. Thank you so much to those of you who said you missed me last time. I know it had been a little bit extra time between videos on my last recording, so I'm glad to be able to be back with you on time in my normal roughly 2 weeks slot. So it's great to be here. Thank you also to those of you who are new, who found me in the last few weeks and decided to subscribe and come back for more. I hope that you enjoy joining us here. It has been a busy couple of weeks with the Easter holidays since I last saw you. So having Charlotte at home every day is exhausting, but she was lots of fun too. We had Easter Sunday dinner, which I told you we were expecting to do, and we had a visit to the zoo, and she had a trip to the beach, and the weather was pretty decent, not too bad for Easter, and is improving every day at the moment. So this week we've had absolutely gorgeous spring days, you know, the kind that start with a very chilly morning and then they're brightening up towards lunchtime, and by the afternoon there's even a suspicion of heat in that sunshine as well. So it has been really lovely to see the season hopefully properly change and stay in spring and not revert back to winter again. So that has been our couple of weeks. This week Charlotte's back at school, and last night they were able to host a school disco for the children. This is the first one since the pandemic, and parents don't normally go along, but I was able to go as Charlotte's chaperone for the evening because obviously she needs a little bit of extra supervision. So I went along for the evening, and it was so much fun just to see the kids enjoying themselves and doing what kids should be doing. I even was asked to dance by a couple of the little boys, and 5 to 7 year olds, let me tell you, they have, sorry, there's a cat doing very strange things at my patio window. I think he wants in, but he's not my cat, so anyway, sorry. Yes, 5 to 7 year olds have an immense amount of energy even after dinner time. So it's very unfair. I think that, you know, we as adults need their energy and they could do with a little bit less. But it was great fun, and it was lovely to see the kids really enjoying themselves. Charlotte had a really great time. It was an awful lot of overstimulation in some respects for her, and she had a couple of little meltdowns, but she coped admirably well, and she wanted to be part of it, which was really what helped her to get through. So she doesn't always cope with loud noises and lots of things, and you know, the noise and the explanations over the PA system, which she can't hear properly and doesn't really understand. So it takes her a wee while to just settle and catch on. But there she was doing YMCA along with the rest of them after a few minutes. So it was a great evening. And as I said, it was just nice to see the kids back to doing what they should be able to do again. So also, since the last time, I wanted to thank you all so much for all your suggestions in my comments for pattern ideas for the funfair fabric, which was this beautiful piece of fabric that I was gifted by Terry. And there are loads of great suggestions. In fact, there weren't any bad ones. And I will keep them all under consideration, and I'm still having a good think about what I want to put on this fabric. So I think whatever piece I stitch will go in my bedroom. These colors will work well, and I want a piece that will suit the bedroom, and I want a piece that I can finish, you know, that doesn't take me 20 years. So albeit that the Fruits of Plenty sale in a monochromatic would be fabulous on this fabric. I don't think that's what I'm going to stitch, simply because I've got so many other big ideas and plans, but it would be fantastic. So anyway, I have lots to consider and thinking about. There were lots of suggestions that you gave me in the comments that were patterns unknown to me previously, so I am having a good look through all of those, and thank you very much for that. If any of you have fabric that you aren't sure what to do with and think a good monochromatic piece would work on your fabric, then I recommend that you go and have a wee look through my comments to see what folks have suggested. And if you are interested, and you can let me know in the comments below, but if you are interested, I could take some time on a future video to showcase some of those suggestions for you, so that, as I said, if you've got a piece of fabric, maybe it came in a club where you just fancied it but you don't actually know what to want to stitch on it, I would be happy to pull photographs of that and showcase them here, and take 5 or 10 minutes to do that if you would like. So let me know. It would be a little bit of work, which I'd be very happy to do, but I don't want to do it if no one would be interested in that. So you can let me know in the comments below if that would be something you'd like to see in the future. So thanks again for the great suggestions. The other little piece of admin then from last time is this chart, which I'm sharing, and the magic word was black work, and the winner, I will insert here, is Bridget Harrison. So Bridget, congratulations. This counted cross stitch sampler, which includes a lot of black work, you can see, will be coming your way, and I hope that you enjoy stitching it. As I said, it's not in the original packaging, but the chart is there and the colours are listed, and it was a beautiful stitch, so I hope that you enjoy it, Bridget. Bridget, just contact me with your postal address. You can use the email that's in the drop down below, or you can find me on Instagram at SewMeSarah as well, and drop me a private message there with your mailing address, and I will get this in the post to you as soon as I can. Okay, let's move on to some stitching, and I will show you what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks. I have made some progress, maybe not as much as I hoped, but perhaps my plans were, or my aspirations were a little high. Anyway, I have fully finished 2 pieces. The first of which is mirror. Oh, that's better. First of which is mirror. This is a free pattern by Modern Folk Embroidery. Jacob released this in support of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Mir means peace in Ukrainian. It's a gorgeous design. You can see that I did it as a flat finish, and I propped it on this little easel. For those of you in the UK who are interested, this little easel originally comes like this with a tiny canvas on it. It cost me £1 from the works. I do think they're £1.50 now, because I've noticed that a lot of the items that I purchased before Christmas at the works have now been restickered, and like everything, prices are going up. But anyway, £1.50, and this is the same little easel that I use for my monthly La Finestra del Tempo finishes, so it worked very nicely with this mirror chart. I'm very happy with this little finish, and I'm going to let it be a reminder to pray for peace in Ukraine every day. My next fully finished item is the September from La Finestra del Tempo, and you can see my fabric choice in the end, which I'm very happy with. It's sort of it's a country red. It's a pretty Sweetwater design fabric. So it's quite busy there, but you can see that the busy doesn't, well, I don't think the busy takes over, simply because you only have 1/4 of an inch showing all the way around on this finish. So I'm thrilled with that one. Can't believe I only have 3 more to go. So next up is October, which, if you recall, I said I probably want to make a few changes to the October chart simply because I don't stitch Halloween things, but there's not too much to change, and I'm hoping I can carry that off. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be part of plans for next couple of weeks. I had one more finish. I think it may actually have been a start and finish since the last time I saw you. I just had a few evenings I've had a notion just to stitch something small. And I know that I have my little cushions that I should be doing, and I have been doing them as well, but there isn't as much progress on those to show you. So you won't see them probably till next time. But anyway, the point is that I was keen to start another small, and I was also keen to do a little bit more with bees. So this is Bee Sampler, and it's a freebie on Pinker and Pumpkin quilting website, and that's patterns by Melissa, and it's just a tiny little alphabet sampler with a bee skep and a couple of bees on, and it's very cute. I think it'll probably become a little cushion or a dobo. We'll see. But it was a fun stitch. Sometimes it's fun to just have a start and finish. So I enjoyed that. As I said, I can't show you the picture because it just comes as a chart, but that is the cover sheet. So it's Pinker and Pumpkin Bee Sampler. I switched the colours a little bit, so my bees are not black. My bees are 3371, which is a very dark brown black. And I kept the rest of the colours. It just took a couple of evenings to stitch up, and it's on a 28 count, I think. It's a 28 count even weave. Show it again. So that was nice. And then I did try to tackle some of my bigger projects towards the end of this month. So I worked a little bit on the Modern Folk Embroidery A Family Patchwork Sampler. I was trying to get work on this top corner, which is the April month of the SAL releases. I didn't get as far as I wanted to, mainly because stitching bunting for school is taking me hours and hours, and because I had a sewing machine issue in the middle, which took me hours to try to fix. So that's why I didn't get as far as I wanted to with this April section, but I did make progress still. So here we go. It's getting bigger and wider and probably harder to show you the whole width of my piece. But here we go over this side here. I have finished now all the way across the very top, and my arms aren't big enough. This motif here is complete, so I'm starting to come down here for this one. Underneath this motif here are a row of lettering, which is just for you to personalize the sampler, so similar to here, and as I've said before, these gaps that are being left where Jacob has input initials, over there, input initials, I will decide what to do with those when I get closer to the end, which, as you can see, is not coming tomorrow. So, but I really love stitching on this piece. This is a 32 count Murano in antique white Zweigart, and the thread is DMC 3832. It's a lovely deep lipstick pink colour. So making progress, keep plodding along, and it's very beautiful. Jacob's designs, I've said before, there's something wonderful about stitching them. There's, I don't know, is the word, people talk about there's a zen in it, and I'm not entirely sure of that use of that word, but I think that's what it is. It's just, you find a place, you find a rhythm, and it's just very calming. So I love Jacob's pieces for that reason. I also did a little bit of work on Glitter Village, and I managed, this is a Cottage Needleworks 9-part series. I'm stitching on a raw linen with silver in it. I finished the first house. The only thing that is not stitched on this are the French knots for the eyes and the buttons of the little snowman. And I will put them in after, because I'm stitching this one in a hoop and I don't want the French knots to get caught on the edge of the hoop as I move the hoop around the design. So any French knots will be left to the end. So I got the first little house finished, and I got this border across the top completed the other night for house number 2, which looks like this. It's going to be a pink house. And I got all 7 of these little kind of snowy buntings, all 7 of them stitched, and then realised that the little gap for one of the coloured stitches, the little gap in each of the buntings, which on this house are pink and on this one will be blue. One of those, this one I think, was 1 stitch too low. And I'm not quite sure how I did that, just miscounted, and it was 1 stitch too low. So I had to unpick everything. So I started here and I unpicked it all the way back to here, only to discover that my thread had been started after it, so I could have left in all of this stitching, found the end of this thread, and actually only unpicked 7 stitches. That will teach me to remember. But it was actually quite, because this is being stitched 1x at a time, because it's a variegated floss, it's harder to see on the back of your work. It just makes the back of the work a little bit more dense. There's a bit more thread on the back of the work, and it's not as economical a way to use your threads. So it was harder for me to spot where I had started and finished the thread. And if I had just been able to spot that that's where I had started the thread just after it, and I could have left all that lovely stitching in. Anyway, they say practice makes perfect, and some nights I really do get a lot of stitching practice by having to redo. So I'm still loving the pattern. Still struggling a little bit with the silver thread, just catching the light, but as I explained before, if I can keep, I need good lighting, but if I can keep the direct light from shining on it, it does work a lot better, and the hoop opens up the stitches well, the hoop opens up the fabric well to be able to make the stitches, so that those 2 approaches have helped me greatly with this. Poor Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop has chosen this fabric as her first linen to stitch on, and I feel so sorry for her, and I feel sorry for her because she is struggling, not because it's a terrible linen or anything, because it's not, it's a beautiful linen, but it just does take a little bit of extra help. And my fear is that this fabric is going to put Kimberly off linen forever, where other fabrics, linens, which she hasn't tried, are not as tricky. The silver thread really does make this that little bit extra tricky. So I hope that Laurie, who's Kimberly's best friend, Laurie Holt, and Cheryl, who works for her in Fat Quarter Shop, I hope they can convince her not to give up on linen entirely. And she likes the bigger counts, so even if she were to try maybe a Cashel linen, which is a 28 count, so don't give up, Kimberly. I mean, I wish she watched my channel, but I know she won't ever have time to do that. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you're going to use linen for the first time, maybe don't make it this one. And if you do make it this one, then don't judge all of the linen by this book's cover. Okay? So that is Glitter Village by Cottage Needleworks. Next, I have a single row of progress on my necessity piece. I've told you before, this is an anniversary gift for my hubby this year. We will be 25 years married in November. So later this year, I hope to be able to gift this to him. I got this row in, so there are only 2 more borders in this band sampler to go. I have loved stitching this, really loved stitching this. This is a 32 count Murano in silver grey by Swigart, and the floss is DMC 3371, which is a very dark chocolate brown colour. And you can see that I put in "I'd be lost without you." So that's the last of the text. I love how the text is varied. It's not all the same text in the row. I think this is super designing, and I brought a few of my thread ends down just to start the next row. So there's just the 2 more bands to go. You can see them at the bottom. And then this one will be finished. So another band next month perhaps, and another one in June. This would be finished, and then I've got the summer and the early autumn to think about how I'm going to frame it. I will frame it myself simply because of costs, but I need to think about what I want to do with that. It won't be very fussy, so I just have to get something that's the right size. So I have heard Michelle at Mama Loves You GB mention a couple of good online framing resources where you can order your frame to size yourself. So I think that might be a good option. It might be something good to test out with. I think where this will hang, probably a plain black or deep dark brown frame will work really well also. So highly recommend this pattern if you fancy trying a band sampler that's a bit of fun. And my next whip progress, the last one for this couple of weeks, is progress on the Dimensions Oh Holy Night Advent Calendar. This, for those of you who have been here before, is my, you already know that this is my oldest whip. It is from 2006. So yeah, it's getting on a bit, but I have been working on it, and I hope to keep just plugging along, keeping it in the rotation so that it doesn't become unstitched and unloved again. So last time I had, last time I had the little ornaments which are stitched on the plastic canvas. I think I had up to here with maybe a row or 2 missing from her dress, and she didn't have any back stitch, so I completed the back stitch, and I completed 2 more of the ornaments and back stitched them as I went along. I also back stitched this one, I believe. Yes, this one. So what I'm trying to do when I pick this up a couple of days a month is to start with back stitching one of the ornaments, then stitch another ornament and backstitch it as I finish, rather than sitting down to tackle an entire plastic canvas page of backstitching all in one go. So that is the plan. I also got, you know, you get a little bit itchy, and I thought I should be stitching this, but I fancy doing something else. So I actually pulled the Ada that comes in this kit, and I started to stitch the main piece. So these are the ornaments that go on the advent calendar, and this will be the advent calendar itself, which I've now managed to drop on the floor, sorry. So you can see that the little ornaments will hang over the numbers of the days. So one day I was just looking for something quite straightforward to stitch, and I thought that's what I'll do. I'll start the grid of that, and it's obviously not a lot of stitching really. It's just, there was a lot more counting than stitching. but it's just to get it started. So I put it on a frame, and oh yes, I forgot to tell you that I bought a Lowry stand. So my frame can go in the Lowry stand and I can sit and stitch away. I'm very much in the early days of using the Lowry stand. I won't use it for everything, but certainly for some of the projects that I'm starting to put back into frames, it is lovely to have both hands free and to be able to work at that. Just on the Lowry stand, I find that it works best if the Lowry stand is on my left, coming in, and where I normally sit on the sofa to stitch, it needs to come in from the right, and my sofa arm is a little bit high, so I don't find it as easy to use there at night time when I'm stitching. So but that's okay, it works really super well when I'm stitching in the chair at the bay window, and I can have it from the left, and the arms of that armchair are lower than my sofa arms, so it comes over much better. So it's just, I guess, about finding what works and doesn't work, and you know, I could change the side of the sofa or something, but I don't want to. So I can work on pieces that need the frame and the Lowry stand. It's great also because then I have the light from the bay window, so I could do that during the daytime, and then at night time I can move over and do some of my stitching in hand on the sofa, and just, you know, be a little more into the room and out of the window at night time when there's no light there to be had. So it's just about finding how the Lowry stand making the Lowry stand work for me, but it certainly has been a good purchase, and they are expensive. I got really lucky, and Lovecrafts a couple of weeks ago, Lovecrafts had a 25% off discount. I can't remember if it was just on their website or whether it was for their newsletter or something. So I actually got 25% off my Lowry stand through Lovecrafts. So it was a really good discount, because I know they are pricier than I thought I would be able to manage, but I did manage it with that 25% discount. So maybe as time goes on, I'll be able to give you a better idea of how I like the Lowry stand, but certainly I do like it now. I'm just sort of still testing it and trying to figure out what works. Look at this shape of me today. Sorry. Just straighten yourself up, girl. Yes, I'll let you know how it works out for me. So that is a little bit of progress on the Advent calendar. It's nice to have started the Ada piece, albeit that it's deceptive that I feel like I'm covering a lot of ground, but there's not much stitching. But all the stitching really is in the top part, and that's a pretty considerable amount of stitching in this bluish border too. But as I say, a little bit at a time, and keep going, and one of these days Charlotte will have her cutesy Advent calendar. She does have other Advent calendars, but she will enjoy that one too in due course. So that's all of my whips. I had 2 other new starts. I know I had the little bee sampler, which was the start and a finish. I have 2 other new starts that are smallish. Well, one's smaller than the other. One of them I'm not going to share with you, so sorry for the tease. It is a surprise, and I will show you when it's finished later on in the year, but it's a secret, that one. And then I started this one, which is another freebie by Tiny Modernist. Just ignore my scribbled notes on where to position my threads. And this one's called Home Stitch Home. So again, I will link all of the patterns down below, and there'll be a link to the freebies if I can find them, which I should be able to for this, okay? And a link to all of the other patterns as well that I show you. So this is Home Stitch Home. I saw this stitched by Shan of Craftivating Creations some months ago, and it was a gorgeous little stitch, and she had it stitched and she had it mounted on a frame that looked like a little house. and she said she got that from Amazon, so I went and found it. So I have that frame and look forward to that as well. I've just made a start with the lettering for the first home, and oh, excuse me, that's my alarm. So that's the alarm that tells me that it's time to get ready and go to work. So I need to finish up here with you, but we're almost finished anyway. So yes, I've just started this, the first word of the home. So I thought this would be a nice stitch to be able to come with me in the car. I am doing a few things at the moment that mean I'm spending a little bit more time waiting in the car. So I might pop this one in there. It's nice and simple. It's on a 32 count platinum Murano, and I'm changing the threads from what's called for just to something that I like, just out of stash, and I'll just work those up as they come. So that will be a car stitch, I think. Probably a little nighttime stitch when I want to do something small also. So let me tell you about a few pieces of haul that I've purchased in the last couple of weeks. I did get a bit sidetracked by bees. I am loving the bee patterns that are everywhere, and you know that I received the gift of hive rules. So I have that and another couple on my radar. But then the Stitching with the Housewives, Priscilla and Chelsea came out with a couple of bee dapper doodads. So one of them is Honeybees and Flowers Please. This prints a little bit peculiarly because I'm printing on A4, and I think the design is actually square, and on my A4 printout it doesn't come out as square because it is a 56 by 56 stitch count. So it does print a little bit off scale, but really pretty. And then the other one I really liked of their bee dapper doodads was Snowed in Honey. So it's a snow globe with bees and a cute little house and a bee skep on the top. And I love the colour of the pinks in those flowers. So I got those, and then you know how much I love Jacob and his designs at Modern Folk Embroidery. So I purchased How Doth the Little Busy Bee. So all three of these, I was thinking would be nice in a little bee display, and I think they would be nice on a green fabric. You can see Priscilla and Chelsea have used, I think that's an apple green dyed fabric that they've used. I think this one would be beautiful on a green if I can find a nice deep gold colour, as long as it doesn't, you know, blend into the green. And I have this gorgeous green piece of linen. Sorry for the bag, but it's, you can see that there, it's a little bit more green. It's called Pippi, and it's by the Country Stitch. This was a gift from New Zealand. So the Country Stitch are in New Zealand, and this was a gift from Judith in New Zealand that she sent to me. And I think this might be perfect for these patterns. So that I'm keeping them together just to have a think about it. We'll see how that goes. One more PDF, those were all purchased as PDF charts, by the way. And one more PDF chart that I purchased is this one. I'll insert a picture because I didn't print it. My printer's running out of ink. So this is Scarecrow Jack Mini. And this is by Chrissy at Finally a Farm Girl. She has opened an Etsy shop in the last month or so, and she has started designing really cute little cross-stitch designs. So you should check her out if you're interested. And she also shows those and talks about them all on her own Flosstube channel. So if you haven't watched Chrissy before, I highly recommend it. I love watching Chrissy. She posts, I think, mostly on a Sunday evening. So it's usually late Sunday night stitching, late Sunday night viewing for me here in the UK, or Monday afternoon viewing. So that is Scarecrow Jack Mini, and I thought he would be very cute for a little Easter display. I also purchased this one, a Heart Remembers. Probably the whole world of cross stitching has this either on their wish list or already in their stash. But this I was able to get from Heather at Woolly Woolly Sheep Sheep on Etsy. Heather is another Northern Ireland stitcher, and she has a little Etsy shop which has haberdashery, crochet, knitting supplies, craft supplies, ribbons, tote bags, gift mugs, all kinds of things on there. It's worth having a peek, but she has recently started, I mean literally like just the last couple of weeks, started to have some charts available to purchase. So when she did a little Instagram announcement about that, this was one of the ones that she advertised, and I was straight on it and said, could you send me it and I'll send you the money. So I purchased this from Heather from her little shop. So it's worth keeping an eye. She only has a few charts, maybe she has 20 charts or so at the moment, but I think she's planning to build that up. She has some lovely ones from Primrose Cottage Stitches. She has What Remains. I know she had one copy of that left this morning when I just checked out her link. What Remains by Blackbird Designs. And yeah, she has some other lovely designs too. So it's worth having a little look at Heather. I had very prompt service from Heather. I know we're both living here in Northern Ireland, so it doesn't take terribly long for the post to get through, but it was great, and it was very nicely packaged so that it came all lovely and not damaged in any way. So thank you very much, Heather, for the great service, and anyone who's interested can go and have a little look at Heather's Etsy shop. I will link that below. The other stitching this couple of weeks has really just focused mainly on bunting. So, you know, I've been stitching red, white and blue bunting for, maybe it should go that way, the way you're seeing it on screen. Red, white and blue bunting for the school that I work in. We're having a little dinner celebration for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and we're going to decorate the hall with some bunting. So that has been keeping me very busy. It's not hard to make bunting, but there's 50 meters of it, and some more to come. So yeah, that has taken up time. And as I said before, I ran into a snag with my sewing machine, so I had to spend all of Sunday afternoon trying to sort that out. So very quickly before I go, there's one little PSA I wanted to give those of you who are interested in embroidery. So my public service announcement is this. You may recall these designs that I've showed you in the past. These are embroidery designs by Un Chat dans la Grille, which is a French website, and it's the French designer called Christelle. She ran some stitch-alongs during COVID lockdowns, and that's how I got interested in her designs and patterns. Now, Christelle has another sew-along coming up, and I wanted to tell any one of you who are interested in embroidery about that sew-along just really, really quickly, because I do need to go. So it is called Envol 3 Joli Colibri, which means fly, pretty hummingbird. And here's the design. Okay. Now this one is a purchase PDF design. It's 15 euros on her site. I'll link that below. It starts on Monday the 9th of May and runs weekly for 6 weeks. Now, you will be able to get your downloadable PDF, and you stitch that on some quilting cotton or whatever other kind of embroidery linen you want. It not quite the same as cross-stitch linen. And every week on the Facebook page, the details of that are available when you're purchasing the SAL. On the Facebook page, Christelle will have a live video which shows the stitching. Now, I said before, Christelle does her lives in French, in Spanish and in English, and it's all in the one video, and she's fantastic, and she shows very close up the stitching and how you form the stitches and make the embroidery stitches. So it's a great way if you want to learn new stitches and progress your skills a little bit. I couldn't recommend her and her teaching highly enough. So I didn't want to let it pass, even though I'm not going to do this particular style, I didn't want to let it pass without sharing with you that you have this opportunity. And don't worry if you can't make the live times, they're normally posted to the Facebook page and they're available for you thereafter. So that is the Fly Pretty Hummingbird Sal that she is doing, and it starts in a couple of weeks' time, just if you're interested. As I said, that's really it. My plans will be to keep going, to keep up with my sals next month. I'm not doing Mania because I'm just trying to keep progressing what I have, and I do want to do Jolly July, so I'd like to get a bit more done on what I've already got in the works before Jolly July happens. So it'll be fun planning for that. And that's it really from me, and I really need to get on to work. I've run out of time this morning. It's been a bit haphazard, but I hope it hasn't felt too rushed. I'm sorry to rush off at the end. In the next couple of weeks, I hope you all have a great time and that you find some time for the stitching that you love. And in the meantime, stay well and stitch happy. Bye.